This is Women Road Warriors with Shelley Johnson and Kathy Tuccaro. If you drive long haul, short haul, or heavy haul, they're here to empower and inspire women in the trades on tncradio.live. So gear down, sit back, and enjoy.
You're listening to Women Road Warriors. We're a show designed to empower and inspire women in trucking, in the trades, and everywhere. We cover all kinds of topics. I'm Shelley, and
I'm Kathy.
Staying healthy on the road is a huge concern for our women drivers, and their needs are different from men. Today, we have a sought-after educator and author with over 20 years of experience in engaging people about health to bring awareness and self-advocacy. Dr. Noella C. West is a national speaker and adjunct professor at the University of Tampa and the University of South Florida. She's been featured in national nursing magazines and television. She's with us today to share some insights on how our listeners can improve their health. Welcome, Dr. West. Thank you so much for being on the show with us today.
Thank you so much. Hello, Shelley and Kathy. Thank you so much for having me.
Hi, welcome to the show.
I am excited to be here. This is a kind of a twist for me. My father was a truck driver and owned his own business. So this is very fitting.
Nice.
So I understand, firsthand about the lifestyle of a trucker. And since his passing a couple of years ago, my mother now runs the business along with one of my sisters. So this is truly a women's road warrior journey for me as well.
Very cool.
That is.
So you understand some of the health challenges that drivers can have.
Definitely, yes.
What would you say are some of the biggest health issues that women drivers especially need to consider? Obviously, that eating right on the road, that's a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
And especially after COVID, so many things were closed in Canada, in the United States. Junk food, I would say, is very bad, right?
Yes, definitely. So we as women, we take care of everyone else except for ourselves. So some statistics for you is that there are nearly 3 million long-haul truck drivers who transport goods across America, of course.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, truck driving is really rated as the third largest growth occupation, especially now that we have the pandemic. It's really come to the forefront.
Yep.
Trucking industrializes nations and contribute to over 90% of the world's consumer products. So this field is very important. And particularly, we need to make sure that we look at our health while we're doing this type of business. So cardiometabolic risk factors, lifestyle health behaviors, and mental health are all our top global effect health concerns when it comes to trucking and the trucking industry.
It's huge. And the hours that drivers keep, sleep deprivation is often a real big problem. And if you don't have sleep, you don't have health, right?
Correct. A lot of issues that are facing particularly female drivers is that between 174,000 and 290,000 drivers are actually women.
Yep.
And the percentage is actually growing.
Yes, it is.
Studies have said, So there was an actual descriptive study done a couple of years ago about female truck drivers. And the analysis of 284 were actually surveyed and showed only 77.8% had a usual place for healthcare. So that's a very alarming stat, as well as 1 in 5 had no insurance coverage at all.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's I've run across that statistic. It's shocking because not all the companies provide, I guess.
Yes.
And of course, if you're an owner operator, sometimes that can be very costly in the United States in terms of the health insurance premiums.
Yes, definitely. So what's the healthcare and trucking industry as a general? I've researched a study that indicated that 54% of men and 66% of women had some sort of healthcare provider. However, 21% of men and 35% of women had no health insurance. And a lot of these problems, like male and female drivers, both reported common health problems like back pain, sinus problems, hypertension, headaches, and even arthritis. So this particular field, we really need to focus on the health problems and what we can do to actually treat those.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
with the repetitive motion and so forth, I would think that's hard on the joints and everything. It could trigger arthritis and all kinds of conditions, and that makes it very problematic. Then you don't get good sleep. I mean, it just becomes a vicious cycle.
Yes, definitely. Yes. And then this population, there's a high risk for health concerns. Other studies and research have shown in this particular area of transportation that 47% lack any type of healthcare provider whatsoever. And then 20% frequent emergency rooms and urgent care centers whenever they're on the road. However, the majority of those do establish their care when they come back. So they really don't even treat themselves. So we really need to be aware of those things and provide some sort of resources.
I know that some of the drivers have said it's difficult, if they're out for weeks at a time, getting back home and scheduling with a doctor. It's very hard to do. A lot of them are opting for concierge services and that sort of thing with, I think, a monthly membership so that they at least have someone who's kind of monitoring what's going on.
Yes, correct. The concierge service is a very specialized one-on-one type of health program that can actually help. We also have the options for telehealth for a lot of the primary care settings as well. So that's also an option.
Which is good.
Yes.
Kathy, are there any questions you have for Dr. West in terms of health concerns that are unique to women drivers?
Well, like in my area where I work, it's a little different than the long haul truck drivers, but in a sense, like I'll explain it to you, we work on a rotational basis. So we work 14 days on and then we get 14 days off, right? But on the 14 days that we work, we're literally sitting in our equipments for 13 hours a day. And we're allowed 2 breaks of half an hour, which is usually 10-minute bathroom and 20-minute sleep, right?
Yeah.
That's how that goes. But most common, there's not a lot of women, like on my crew itself, there's 140 people, there's 12 women. And in the locker rooms, the most common issues are weight gain. A lot of people are developing diabetes. They're talking about migraines. And another one is, just the whole feminine cycling program, right? The whole having your period and how do you manage that when you're sitting in a truck? And we have constant conversations about that because, I mean, it's really difficult to do. But what would you say, besides obviously the whole, proper diet, is there any recommendations that you would have for lower back pains? Like, do you know, because that's a common thing because we get bounced around so often. It's like, oh my God, sometimes I literally, I have a bobblehead. I made up a bobblehead as a toy, but that's how I feel when I'm in the equipment. It's like, I get sore neck and upper shoulders and it's like, oh, yeah.
Yes, that is definitely one of the top 8. I have a list of 8 top healthcare concerns, and musculoskeletal problems is one of those as well. So back pain, when you're twisting, you're posturing, you're prolonged sitting, muscle strain. So the whole body that vibrates as you're driving, that triggers some of those things as well. And this also prones you to more back and neck injuries. So as much as you can, make sure that you have proper body mechanics that you can. If you're
like ergonomics.
Exactly. So if you have a cushion or a seat that's worn, please make sure that that's up to date. If you need back support, make sure you're actually looking at that.
So a lot of people don't use that lumbar support, and we have them embedded in the seats. And I tell the ladies, do you actually use that? Use it. Use what you have available. Bring your cushion. Some of the drivers started bringing their own little padding cushions or for their back, which is fabulous. But a lot of people don't want to because I look like an idiot carrying around my bum cushion, right? Like, does it really matter what you look like, or does it matter how you feel?
Right.
Exactly. You have one back and you have to take care of that. And that leads to all kinds of problems. Yes, definitely.
Obesity is by far, and not just in women, but in all heavy, in my field, the heavy equipment operator, obesity is the number one problem. It is. You're not moving. And then when you do get off shift, people are tired. They like, oh, I'm too tired. I have to push myself. I have no thyroid. So I'm taking Synthroid every day. I mean, I'm 52, the whole menopause thing. If I don't push myself to either do yoga or at least 30 minutes, I'm not saying an hour and a half in the gym, minimum 30 minutes on that treadmill or some cardio, I have to push myself. Who else is going to do it for me, right?
That's right. That's right. And obesity is more than just, like you said, the actual diet. There's a hormone imbalance in that as well. And then your circadian rhythm is actually off. So melatonin or food that has high melatonin, such as eggs, milk, fish, cherries, nuts, sweet corn, and as well as pineapples, they're all naturally high in melatonin. So if you take something or eat something with those products in it right before you're trying to sleep, even if it's one of those cat naps that I know, you as truckers always have to have, that'll actually help. Those are natural things. And then those that have to smoke, of course, we don't want you to smoke, but avoid any type of caffeine drinks as well as nicotine before you're actually trying these.
Speaking of caffeine drinks, please explain to me, many of my coworkers, and I know long haul truckers do this as well, drink those awful power sugar monster drinks that are so loaded with caffeine and sugar. Some of my coworkers will drink 2 and 3 in a 12-hour shift. And I'm like, what does that do to the heart? I've heard so many bad things about that. I've been dying to ask someone that question.
Yes, those are actually higher risk at strokes and heart attack than if you were smoking. So really need to be mindful about the amount of drinks. We've actually had patients who come in that I've seen under my practice to actually be normal, everything's healthy, no blood pressure issues, but they're taking these power shots or these power drinks and trying to get through the day, and they're wrestling through, and that has actually caused their blood pressure to elevate, that they're actually having strokes. So they have to really be careful of that. So
sorry, one guy at my work, the next mine, he was drinking, he was a young guy, something like 35. He was drinking 5 a day, and he ended up having a heart attack, and he did die at work. And they were relating it to the drinking 5 of those monster drinks a day.
That really accelerates your heart rate. So you really have to be careful. And then you're stressing because you're driving, you have weather conditions and constructions and these unsafe drivers who are just cutting in front of you when they think you have a little Corolla.
Pop it in there. I can do this.
Exactly. So just whenever you're ready to do that sleep and wake cycle, just try not to have your phone or your tablet or laptop. Blue light actually reduces that. If you have a nice, comfortable sleeping bed, maybe have a little curtain, one of those sunblock or one of those blockout curtains that helps you as well. So those are some things that you can do to kind of help you settle and kind of get your circadian rhythm ready to, okay, I'm going to sleep now. That way.
Here's another question. What about like the truckers that drive night shift? Like I work on a rotational basis, so I'll do 14 days and then I get 14 off, and then I'll do 14 night shifts of 13 hours. So it really messes up the rhythm of sleep. So the long haul truckers, there's a lot that like to drive night shifts because there's less traffic on the road, right? Correct?
Yeah.
Correct.
So how do you get your body back? Because I know the body's not designed to be up all night and sleep all day. And so it really messes things up. Does that make aging worse? Do you know what I mean? Like, is it harder on the body to recalibrate itself, I guess you could say?
It does show that there are some disadvantages of working those shift works. However, if your body is used to that, keep on that same cycle. When you actually go to sleep and it's during the day, make sure it's somewhere where it's mostly quiet. You're shutting everything down. You're concentrating on your actual periods of rest, and your body will eventually get used to that. So if you're doing this long haul stint, your body will actually get used to that. But of course, in the long term, it does have more stress on your body. So you have to really be careful of that.
Yeah, I know when I'm coming off night shift, sometimes it takes me 4 or 5 days to get back to normal, because I've been up for 30 hours straight and trying to, oh my God, I feel old. I feel my age. Normally I don't. Normally I feel like I'm in my 30s, right? Let's go. But lately it's like,
Right.
Well, those
So
kind of
yeah,
hours are just incredibly hard on the body, I would think, at any age.
Yeah, you know what? You're right.
Yeah.
yeah. And when you mention about migraines and stress,
Oh
if
yeah.
you're dehydrated, that also plays a part in it because you're trying to meet your schedules, you're trying to get to where you need to be. So migraines,
Yes.
stress, dehydration, all of that does play a big factor in that.
And as a woman, you don't want to stop to pee because it takes extra time and you got to do the whole thing. And whereas men, I mean, they can pee in a bottle and they do.
Exactly.
Yes.
They do.
Yeah.
I'm not going to beat around the bush. It happens.
Right. We need to invent something for women. So I think we probably make enough money that we can carry us all. So, and speaking of not going to the bathroom, that leads to another healthcare concerns, urinary tract infections.
Yes.
As well as ulcers. So ulcers are stress. Yeah. Stress can actually be provoking ulcers.
Oh,
I did not know that. Well, isn't that interesting? Yeah. But like, isn't like, because I know one woman, she refused. This is a few years ago. She didn't want to take time to go to the bathroom, so she was holding it, and not drinking enough. Ended up getting a couple UTIs, and then it ended up she was going into kidney failure because it got so bad, and then she needed dialysis.
That's right.
From not wanting to go to the bathroom.
Yes.
And I tell all the ladies, they cannot fire you for going to the bathroom. Go to the bathroom. Good God, this is your body. You don't, you only have one. Take care of it.
Right. You have 2 kidneys, but you don't want to mess those up either.
No.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
Yes.
And that it's a problem with all of the drivers. They try to time their bathroom breaks and they can't always.
Yeah.
Women are definitely at a disadvantage. Like you said, I mean, they can't use some sort of milk jug or whatever,
Stay tuned for more of Women Road Warriors coming up.
Did you know that 80% of America's communities rely on trucking alone to deliver their goods? The trucking industry keeps America running thanks to the 3.6 million professional truck drivers traveling over 300 billion miles a year. Industry movement Trucking Moves America Forward, or TMAF, tells the story of trucking and its positive impact on our economy, communities, and lives. Learn how you can be part of the industry movement working to build a strong image of trucking by visiting truckingmovesamerica.com. Kathy DeCaro is nothing short of amazing. She not only drives the world's biggest truck as a heavy equipment operator in northern Alberta, Canada. She's an international motivational speaker and the author of Dream Big, an autobiography about overcoming a lifetime of trauma and abuse that led to dreams of success. Kathy inspires people the world over to change their lives and improve their self-worth. Her book will change your life. She's passionate about personal growth and believes anyone can change their circumstances and overcome their obstacles if they believe in themselves. Her life will amaze you and seriously inspire you. Be sure to order a copy of her book, Dream Big, on Amazon.com.
Welcome back to Women Road Warriors with Shelley Johnson and Kathy DeCaro.
Also, while we're talking about actual women drivers or sitting and riding in trucks, deep vein thrombosis or DVT also another healthcare factor. So your prolonged sitting. So if you can try to get out of the truck, or while you're in the truck, do some stretches, some movement, or even some support stockings or support stockings. That can also
most of the women with us, like I have a lot of varicose veins. I go get injections every year. It hurts my legs, so I have to wear those stockings. But even like on my brakes, what I do for myself, just to help myself, is I'll put my feet up, like above my heart, right?
Yes.
So way up on the dash, and I'll just sit there for like 20 minutes just to kind of help with the circulation. But that is a big problem, and you are correct. Absolutely.
Yes, that's perfect advice about that. And when it comes to your health and the cardiac risk, hypertension, hyperlipidemia, which means your elevated cholesterol. All of this stuff can lead to cardiovascular disease, a heart attack, or an MI. So if you're a diabetic, take your insulin with you. If you're on medication, take your medications. I mean, just try to just take care of yourself, because you're not going to do anybody any good if you're not taking care of yourself while you're still working. So
That's right.
Very true.
You know, like I tell some of the ladies in the locker rooms, because I mean, they're complaining about various stuff and, oh, the food is bad. And I said, you know, it's the choices you make. You can have anything in front of you. Do you have to eat it? No. Even if you're going to truck stops and like, even like myself driving from Canada all the way here to LA, like I have a severe gluten allergy. If I have a little bit of gluten, I'm in the hospital. That's it, right? So regardless of the food in front of me, you have to work with what you have. So whether you're diabetic, whatever it is going on with you, make your life livable, that in your own environment, or whatever's around, right? So bring the food that you can eat, bring the snacks that you want to eat. Do you know what I mean? Exactly. So you can't blame it on, oh, well, that's all there is to eat. No, this is your life. You fix it for you.
Right. Even if it's one healthy option, you're having breakfast, maybe you're snacking. Okay, for dinner, I'm going to make sure I get, one of the Happy Meals with those slices of apples in it or something, or just make one healthy conscious choice per day, and that really helps.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of people say they're stopping at truck stops and they're sitting with people that are all eating these delicious, or what looks like good food, which really isn't. Sometimes, like for myself, I'm looking at people eat all these fries and burgers and this and that, and here I am with my salad and whatever that doesn't have gluten. And I'm actually happy, because I don't want to be part of that, because they're going to have a lot of problems down the road, whereas I might not.
That's right. How you treat your body and your fitness,
right? It's self-care
and so forth. Yes, ma'am.
It's what I think it's all a part of flipping that mindset, looking at things from a different perspective than other people. Right. Yes. Setting yourself aside doesn't mean you're an outcast. It means, you're actually putting yourself above the negativity. You're raising your vibrations to a different level. And I think you have one on other people.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, really. It really does. Also, make sure you all as in the trucking industry and as women, I know you all have these environmental hazards like this diesel and these toxic fumes, and so make sure that you can at least wear a mask whenever possible, and routinely check your ventilation system as well. Just ensure that that's working as well. But lung cancer, believe it or not, is in one of the top 5 risk factors.
Really?
Healthcare concerns. Yes, ma'am.
Wow.
Now, is that from some of the diesel exposure too? Really?
Yes.
Okay, and that's not talked about. That's interesting.
No, that's never talked about. Wow.
Yeah. So that's very important.
Yeah, like some of these equipment, you don't realize that you're doing your walk arounds, you're working underneath, you're checking things, and you're inhaling all these horrible toxins. I know, because I'm gagging half the time, and I never not once thought about wearing a mask. Would you look at that?
Yeah.
What kind of mask would you recommend for something like that would actually keep the fumes out? And
if you're around fumes a lot, I would definitely use one of those respiratory type of masks that has one of those filters in it. However, if you're doing just your regular checks on a daily level, even the mask that we're wearing now for COVID and these pandemics, that will filter out some of that as well.
Okay. So it provides somewhat of a barrier, which is better than nothing, for sure. Absolutely.
One last thing that I want to mention is that depression and isolation is a big barrier as well, and a risk factor when it comes to actually driving, because you're away from your home and family and friends, and you really don't have the support system besides maybe other truckers. And mental health can also play a big role in that as well. So a lot of times as female truck drivers, you're probably going through a lot of disrespectful treatment from others, maybe some violence or fear of violence. So you really have to be careful of that. There have been some studies about some cases where there were some women drivers that really had some bad experiences. So really be careful of that. And some of these behaviors can cause even riskier behaviors by using drugs or paying for sex and some other things. So we as women, we really have to protect ourselves and protect one another as well. So don't be ashamed. Come forward. If you need help, definitely seek out that as well.
Yeah. There's a lot of resources out there, for that. And, you know, that's something, again, that's not talked about a lot, you know, as drivers, mental health and depression.
Yes.
Drivers are kind of reluctant, I think, to talk about it because they don't want to have something on record that would prevent them from driving. You know, if they're
Yeah.
labeled.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, that is
it's
true.
true.
Yeah. So that's why having programs that discuss that sort of thing, maybe they can get some help that way, and really do some thinking about what can help them. Because yeah, mental health, that's huge. And last year with COVID, with the pandemic, that really created some mental health issues and depression and stress. I mean,
Yes.
drivers in both Canada and the United States had to deal with rest areas being completely shut down, all kinds of things. And these are frontline workers and they're being treated like dirt, you know. It's
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's very hard mentally. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do most companies in the States, do they have any employee assistance programs like we do in Canada? I'm not sure about that.
I think it probably ranges on state by state. Those are one of the things that I've tried to research since I lived in Florida. There are some areas where there's some truck stops that actually have maybe wellness clinics, or maybe they'll perhaps schedule maybe a mobile van health to kind of come by, or leave
Nice.
some information in the truck stop driver lounges. So I think
Yeah.
that's something that I think we need to, as professionals, and that's something near and dear to me too, because of my father, is to have these state and local health departments, because this is really a disparity when it comes to that. Talking to lawmakers and things, what is the standard of care for truck drivers and the health of those that actually do this business?
Yeah.
So, Dr. West, what would you say in terms of health is different for women versus men? I know the medical community for so many years kind of lumped women in there. They looked at men's health rather than looking separately at the issues that confront women. And I think that has kind of changed the diagnostics and set women back for a lot of decades. But I know that that's changed. What do women need to consider that men don't?
Well, as we actually did open up, women have a lot more needs than men do when it comes to their physical health as well. Men are equipped and they're focused on men drivers. However, women have different needs. Women have a different thought process, and the same goes for their health as well. So just as we get fatigued and muscular disorders and sleeping disturbances, we really need to advocate our health insurance and our companies as much as possible to really have an equal opportunity type of employer and healthcare service for women.
That makes absolute sense. Do women require more sleep than men?
I think women can actually go longer distances and times with less sleep than men, and actually have a productive, safe environment when it comes to decision makings, when it comes to producing. Women has this key, I don't know if you call it a mother instinct, a woman's instinct. We can change the baby, go to sleep for 3 hours, go to work full time, run a meeting, and come back and cook dinner and do it all over again.
We rock.
Yeah, we really do. Most men would say, "You got to be kidding me."
Exactly.
We rock.
Yes.
So
It's
nature
amazing.
designed us to be more resilient and
Amen. Yes. He knew what he was doing.
Uh-huh.
Oh my goodness.
So what would you say that women should really keep an eye out for? Are there symptoms? Are there things? Obviously, prevention is the best thing. But what should they look for as warning signs that say, hey, you need to get into the doctor?
Couple of warning signs that's very important. If you're having chest pain, number one, you need to go see someone immediately, whether it's calling 911 or actually going to, whether it's a hospital and urgent care. Your body is talking to you. So whether you're having these aches and pains in your chest, in your stomach, in your back, if you're having these symptoms of feeling dizziness, if you're not thinking clearly, if your vision is impaired, All of these are signs that there's something going on with you internally, as well as mentally. If you're driving and you don't remember passing a road sign, if you don't remember if you did something or passed this particular road information, there's something mentally as well. You may need some sleep. You may be stressing. You may need to be actually nourished. So get something to drink, some sort of nutrition, snack on something. Your body is your vessel, and when it starts talking to you and those lights, just as you do on your semi truck and on your dashboard, goes off, those are the same indications for your body. So please listen to those and see at least a primary care doctor once a year out of 365 days is not a bad deal.
And should a complete blood panel be done once a year? You think that's
definitely
okay?
Yes, and in some cases, if you have any of the cardio risk factors like high blood pressure or any other cardiovascular disease, a basic EKG once a year is also warranted. So don't let anyone tell you that it isn't.
That's good to know.
Yeah. I know that the symptoms of heart attack with women are different than for men. And I don't think that they really even thought about that, except for maybe the past 10 to 15 years. It's kind of interesting.
That's right. Some women don't just present. The typical heart attack or MI is maybe one side of your arm is having some sort of pain. You're having chest pain, but really some women have back pain. Some people have headaches. So women present differently. Yes, definitely.
And I have heard that women don't necessarily have as good an outcome if they have a heart attack. It can be far more dangerous to a woman than a man.
Yes, the mortality rate when it comes to heart disease and stroke, they may survive the long haul, but they are typically higher rates of death in women than it is for men. So it's very imperative that we actually get and act upon any type of medical emergency quickly.
And I'm not sure all women know that, but certainly when they're in a high-risk profession, it's definitely something that they need to be mindful of.
Yes, this is important.
I think the number one cause of not cause, but women tend in my case, in my area, denial. Deny that anything is going wrong, or they'll put it off. Well, you know what? I'll deal with it later. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. I'm tough. I've been through worse. You know, I can still finish my shift, or I can still. And I think that's the number one thing that I guess symptom that people should pay attention to is that no, if something is going on, act on it, like you said, immediately.
Exactly. Because that can lead to bigger problems that may have you out for a longer period of time than just a little small stint that you need to address those issues. You're right.
People don't want to admit that they have the possibility of having a heart attack. You know, that wouldn't happen to me, sort of, attitude sort of thing. Yeah.
Human beings are very good at denial.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. And in my opinion, there really should be an ability for drivers to have access to healthcare clinics in truck stop areas. I mean, I don't understand why that's not something that we really need to be looking at, especially now that this industry is to the forefront because of the pandemics. And you see this on the news that you're trying to transfer goods from one port to somewhere else across America. And we're in that healthcare access talk now. So I think that should be something we definitely bring up to our policymakers.
That would make absolute sense, because a lot of the problems drivers have when they're driving the big rigs, where do they park? And if it's, they would go to a lot of places perhaps when they have the time in a particular city or wherever, but they can't always just, you can't just, where do you put your rig? You can't just, well, I'll just stop it here on the side of the road. Can't do that. So that would make sense in that environment, in a place where there's plenty of parking, and maybe have a separate area just for people coming in to see the doctors.
That would be fabulous. That would be even a nice concierge service, like you said. That would
really
be very awesome to do. Yeah.
I think you've come up with a great idea, Dr. West.
You need to jump on that and make this go right now.
There you go.
Yes.
I'm curious, can you talk a little bit about GI disease? I mean, I personally have gastrointestinal issues and digestive issues, and I think it's not something that's really addressed a lot. And can you maybe just delve into that a little bit? Like what would be some of the causes, or what would be the common things that you would see come into your care?
Yeah, definitely. So GI disease is also one of those top regulators for healthcare concerns when it comes to the driving over these long periods of time. So you're not eating correctly. So you're having greasy food, you're having things that's going to cause GI upset, whether it's ulcers, whether it's GERD, or this sort of internal vomiting that you may feel, these burping sensations. Also, when it comes to actually flushing out your systems, drinking water, not just all of the beverages that has the sodas and the caffeine, that also contributes not only to your blood sugar, but blood pressure, as well as headaches, all of that sweet caffeine thing. So things internally, GI, whatever goes into your gut actually processes. So you have to be mindful what you put in there. If you have a lot of fast food, maybe you need to have some veggies or something green, something to help with your bowels moving, as well as just coating the actual stomach. Maybe some protein drinks. Those are nice and coating. They come in all different flavors, but they have protein in it. And if you can't really stop, you can keep those nearby, have them chilled, pour it in. Those are awesome to have.
What about constipation? I know it's not something people like to talk about, but it's a fact.
Yes,
It happens.
Oh, yeah. Sure does.
There are natural remedies for constipation. Some people like coffee. Some people like prune juice. Some people, if they're eating cereal or milk. So it really depends on that person's GI makeup and their body makeup. So whatever that you feel is helping with that, that's also very, very important, because you're not drinking enough. So your motility of your gut and your intestines are not moving things around. So that can also cause the constipation. And when you're not getting up, or you're sitting in your truck for long periods of time, everything is stagnant. So moving around helps.
I've heard, this could be wrong, that the prolonged use of laxatives is actually really bad for you. Like it can have some really bad side effects, because some people are really, really, really constipated, and they just, no matter what they do, nothing seems to move. So they take an excess of dose of laxatives, like on a continual basis. Is that bad for you?
Yes, it is bad for you. There is probably another underlying problem if you're having massive amounts of constipation, and this is something that's more frequent. You would definitely need to see a physician or some sort of provider to help you with that, because it might be something more that they need to investigate, a colonoscopy perhaps. They need to make sure that they're actually looking to make sure you don't have any polyps or anything that's causing this back up. You may have some sort of blockage that's causing that, and that might be something you really need to really investigate.
Yeah, so those laxatives are really not good for you.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
I didn't know that coffee helps with constipation. That's interesting.
I don't Works for coffee. Me. I'm just gonna say.
There you go. There's your witness.
Yep, it's a fact.
I'm good to go. It literally, nobody there.
Catch you later. Oh goodness. Boy.
I know my mother used to have me drink prune juice as a child for that. So I don't have a fondness for prune juice, obviously, but that stuff works too.
Yeah. Castor oil, Karo syrup, all of those are natural laxatives as well.
Apricots, organic apricots, dried apricots. When you munch on those, that is a very good natural cleanser. I'm just putting that out there.
Wow, that's good to know.
Yep. It works. My mom, what she does, because she has that problem, she will boil prunes and apricots, both organic prunes and organic apricots, on the stove with a little bit of water for something like 12 hours and slow cook them, and they become like soft. And then she'll just snack on that for whenever she needs to. She'll either put some in her ice cream, or she'll just eat it like that. And she says it works like a charm.
Wow.
That'd be tasty.
Good detox, I guess.
Yeah. So little things, right, that work. Yes. Just don't overdo it, because you're not going to leave the house.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Stay tuned for more of Women Road Warriors coming up.
Industry movement Trucking Moves America Forward is telling the story of the industry. Our safety champions, the women of trucking, independent contractors, the next generation of truckers, and more. Help us promote the best of our industry. Share your story and what you love about trucking. Share images of a moment you're proud of. And join us on social media. Learn more at truckingmovesamerica.com.
Welcome back to Women Road Warriors with Shelley Johnson and Kathy Tuccaro.
What would be something that's a good basic diet that drivers could have to kind of prevent some of these problems, these issues with constipation, and keep their system rolling in the right direction? Because obviously prevention is worth a pound of cure, as we've been told for generations.
Yes, I would definitely recommend a high fiber diet. A lot of natural fruits and veggies have their own mechanisms to help with the fiber. If you need some added fiber, they do have the supplements that are in powder form. I know you've seen the Metamucil and other things, but just be mindful of not using those as a constant. We were created to have natural resources. So fruit and vegetables, those are the number one sources. And I would recommend anything green, unless you're on some sort of blood thinner, which you would definitely need to make sure that you're careful of eating a lot of green, because that can cause more bleeding, as well as a lot of fruit is very important. However, the caveat to fruit is if you're a diabetic, be mindful that there's some fruit that has more heavily weighed sugar than other fruits. So just be mindful of that as well.
If you're a diabetic, strawberries are okay though, right?
Yes. Yes, it is. Yes.
Okay. What are some good fruits if you're a diabetic, other than strawberries?
Watermelon is good.
Okay.
Banana is good to a certain point. That can have a lot of sugar in it as well. Apples are very good, and apple really has a lot of fiber in apples. Pineapple is loaded with sugar, so be careful of pineapples.
Okay.
That has a lot of sugar in it. The natural mangoes are very good. Plums, apricots, those are very good as well, and not a whole lot of sugar.
I like my apples with peanut butter on them.
Oh my gosh, so
Me
do
too.
I.
Too.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Celery and peanut butter too. That's my snack at work.
Oh,
So would that be a good snack? I mean, you're getting protein.
yes,
Mhm.
yes. Excellent sources of protein and fiber. Yes, definitely recommend.
Yeah, because I think that women tend to beat themselves up after they eat something. It's like, well, I shouldn't have eaten that.
Yeah.
Having guilt-free eating while you're going down the road, you know.
Well, just think in a couple hours, you drink a little coffee, you'll poop it out anyway. So
There
you'll
you
be
go.
okay.
Yeah,
You'll
absolutely.
be fine. No worries. Let's worry about something else like world hunger. Who cares about what that is?
Yeah. So what do women do with hormone changes and all of that? Because obviously they have monthly cycles, and depending on the cycle of life, they've got different issues. That's definitely a reality for women drivers, especially sometimes when they're selecting driving later in life. They've got some different challenges that men don't have.
Correct. So not only should you be seeing a primary care provider once a year, but you should also be seeing a GYN. And believe it or not, some hormonal imbalance are regulated and can cause the obesity factor as well, which is, of course, one of our top healthcare concerns.
Right.
If your hormones are out of whack, if they're not balanced, whether it's caused by your sleeping, by your eating, hormones can make a difference in your metabolic syndrome as well. So obesity, you're getting stressed, the stress leads to your hormonal balance, you're not eating right. It's a vicious cycle. So making sure that you're in tune to hormones, whether you're still getting your cycle or you've already been through your hormonal change, you have to really be mindful, because that's something that your body may need. So you may need something more natural, and an OBGYN provider can definitely set you on that path.
Sure. Yeah, I think that presents the cyclical hormones that women deal with. That presents quite an obstacle to maintaining a healthy weight.
Yes.
Women have a unique situation there. After having babies, they can gain weight and they have a hard time getting it off. Depending on where they are, if it's after menopause, women gain weight. It's frustrating. It can be very frustrating, and I don't think they're always getting the answers they need.
Right,
You
right.
know?
Because a lot of times we don't ask those questions either. We don't indulge that.
Yeah.
We kind of keep things to ourselves and say, oh, I'll just get over it or it'll pass. But
Yeah.
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 Yeah, it's like the menstrual cycle. Some women have them really bad and some don't. Like for me, it was absolutely horrible. Every 3 weeks, I would have it for it would sometimes it would last up to 14 days. Heavy,
Ooh.
heavy, heavy with
Yeah.
like just and for the last 5 years, I just take it on like, oh, it'll stop eventually. But I mean, this is going on every 3 weeks. It's brutal and driving and trying to work and cramping and
Mhm.
bloating and this the pain and just everything and still trying to drive. It was really hard until finally I just put my foot down. This is only last year. I was 51. I'm like, enough already. I had to go see an OGBYN and say,
Mhm.
what is going on? Like, this has got to stop. I ended up having an ablation last November and I've never had a period since. And I've been so happy. Oh my God.
Oh,
So happy.
yeah.
The freedom. Oh, la,
Yeah.
la, ladies.
Yeah.
Take your health into your own hands. If it's really bothering you, do something about it.
Exactly. Because it could be some underlying fibroids
Yeah.
or something else.
Yeah,
that
that's what I
comes up
had,
with
fibroids.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They will do a number. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I
Yep.
didn't know that. And she said,
Mhm.
Kathy, you should have came here years ago. I could have taken care of this. I'm like, really? I've suffered in silence for like 5 years for nothing?
I'm surprised you had the energy. I mean, that just
Right.
really takes
Oh, it
it out of
does.
you.
Yeah, I would become almost anemic because the flow was
Oh,
so
sure.
bad. Like I'd
Oh,
had to wear
yeah.
2 pads and like it was
Exactly.
just flowing through my coveralls onto the seat. And I'm like, seriously? Come
Oh,
on. Like, oh, it was bad. It was so bad. But
Yeah.
now, okay, at 52, I have a newfound freedom.
there
Very
you
happy.
go.
Life is grand.
To heck with the tampons.
Yes.
To heck with the coaches.
See ya.
You
I'm-
know, I could go swimming. What was the commercial?
Oh,
Yes.
man.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's another thing, just ladies, take your health into your own hands. We don't need to suffer in silence. Do something about it. Say something.
Yes, absolutely. And sometimes you do run across doctors that don't have a great bedside manner and they really don't like a bunch of questions.
Mhm.
My suggestion is find another doctor.
Amen.
That's right.
Listens.
Yes.
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 Yes. There's a reason why we have second and third opinions, because you want the knowledge and you want someone who's really going to be a person who's going to take care of you
Yeah.
individually. Yes.
Mhm.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
Yeah, I really found that actually. My mother was disabled, and I would take her into the doctor and so forth. And I remember changing doctors for her because there was he was an older doctor, a male doctor, and he kind of blew her off. It's like, well, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, this is not happening.
Yeah.
No. You have to be your own self-advocate, even for others
Yeah.
who can't speak up. So that's very important. The health field is too complicated not to do that. And you have to take care of it. Yeah, definitely. I would recommend that always. Even as a provider, if there's something going on and that person isn't asking the right questions, or you feel like they're not taking the proper time with you, definitely you have nothing to lose if you decide to have a second opinion or decide to change providers.
Exactly. So, Dr. West, where do people find you? You have some wonderful information here, and I think that people can benefit and maybe get some new insight on how to better their health while they're on the road.
Yes, awesome. Yes. You can find me, very simple. It's my name, www.noellacwest.com. And it's Noella C. West throughout Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So very simple. Once you know my name, you know me.
No, lovely.
So do you answer questions if people were to email you or?
Yes.
Excellent.
I can answer questions. And if there's questions that I'm not aware of, I have a lot of different colleagues in the healthcare profession that I can always actually demonstrate or refer you to. So that's definitely a good thing. Yes.
Oh, that's a huge resource, especially when
Wonderful.
drivers are going across country and they need to see somebody. Excellent.
Yes.
Wonderful. Well,
Yeah.
I have thoroughly enjoyed talking to you, Dr. West. You are a wealth of information.
Thank you. Thank you so
kidding.
much. So remember, when this is all said and done, there is importance in keeping the wheels moving, as truck drivers, my dad used to say, but keep healthy while you're riding. So I want to thank you and Michelle and Kathy for all you do as far as focusing on topics for women and women truckers, because behind every successful woman is a tribe of other successful women.
There you go.
Yes.
I totally thank you all for doing this, because you're making
Amen.
life-changing sources. So
Thank you
thank
so
you.
much, Dr. West.
That's so awesome. Thank you so much for being a guest. You've just been absolutely wonderful. And I'm going to sign up right now on Facebook
All
for new
right.
friends.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And you all take care, and you all are doing such a wonderful thing and making a mark for this healthcare with women. I love you all for that. Thank you so very
Oh.
much.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Dr. West.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.
You've been listening to Women Road Warriors with Shelley Johnson and Kathy Tuccaro. If you want to be a guest on the show or have a topic or feedback, email us at info@tncradio.live.
Thank you for listening to another great interview on tncradio.live. All of the material you hear on tncradio.live on our website, our broadcasts, or our podcasts are copyrighted. There can be no distribution without the express consent of tncradio.live and its partners. For inquiries, write us at info@tncradio.live.